Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Meaning Makers podcast. My name is Keegan York. I'm a mental health professional and philosopher, and today I wanted to talk about the events that happened on Saturday, July 13th. I'm going to formulate my thoughts about how we got here, what we can do in the present as individuals, and how we can live meaningfully through this event. What this episode is not is a politically driven conglomerate of my own thoughts about why you should switch parties, why you should do X, Y, or Z. What this is an attempt to look at how our country made it to this point socially, mentally, politically, and so on. My hope is that you take away some practical steps on how to posture and carry yourself, as well as look to the future of what could be. Now, if you've been off the grid or you've been living under a rock for the past 48 hours, on Saturday, July 13th, in a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, President Donald Trump, only minutes into speaking, was nearly assassinated, millimeters away from being killed. Now, this moment was one of divine intervention, as Donald Trump tilted his head just slightly at the right angle to where the bullet only grazed his ear. Had he not tilted his head at that exact moment in time, the bullet would have pierced his skull and he would be dead. Now, I'm not here to theorize or conspire as to why or how this happened, but I do want to address three key points for how we got to this moment in time. The first one I want to bring up is that there is a very real threat to Americans and really people all around the world. And it isn't a threat that we see externally. It's an internal threat that we haven't quite figured out how to conquer yet. Mental health has been something pumped into the rhetoric for a long time. Really, for the last 100 years, mental health has slowly been gaining traction into the rhetoric and understanding of everyday society. As a licensed professional counselor, I realize and honor that there are people who suffer serious health issues from mental health disorders, but those people aren't the ones I'm addressing here. It seems, as with any industry, the seeds of deceit and agenda pushing have made its way to the world of diagnosis and treatment of many of these mental health disorders. The system is flawed by the cycle of insurance and medication. This can clearly be shown by the data that says depression, anxiety, panic attacks, suicide, and so on. Those rates continue to increase. And I find that fascinating because we live in a day and age where we proclaim that we have the best knowledge of mental health and the best medication and the best health system that we've ever had in the entire world. And yet all of these rates of depression, anxiety, suicide are rising. So clearly either someone is lying or there's a very serious issue that we haven't addressed yet. But the rhetoric and the continued use of some of these mental health issues as crutches for change does more harm than good. Within my research and practice, I've come to believe that really mental health issues stem from something deeper, and that's a soul health issue. Our mental health is simply a manifestation of the state of our soul. So not only are we seeing mental health become rampant, I believe that this is a deliberate and genuine attack on our souls. The second key point I want to make here for how we got to this point in time is that the words you say out of your mouth matter and they have consequences. What you say, especially in a position of power or influence, holds so much weight. Casually throwing around phrases like he needs to be eliminated or we need to put him in a bullseye were clearly taken as literal, as we've seen from the events on Saturday. Now you can backtrack and say it was just a figure of speech, but why say it if you didn't mean it? I really believe in the old Dr. Seuss anecdote of say what you mean and mean what you say. Because what comes out of your mouth and how people perceive that is so important and crucial to not only how they view you, but how they view what you're talking about. And the third key point is that this extremism or extreme behaviors do not happen overnight. In the world of psychology, we understand that these things don't just happen within 24 hours. There's typically weeks and months and years of festering thoughts and ideas that grow over time. And they grow over time when they're given not only the room to grow, but also the nutrients and the fodder to grow. Those nutrients come from the previous 2 points I mentioned already, but at the individual level, this third point is illuminated by the months and years of inhumane indifference. Being fed only what you would like to see and hear, being allowed to operate without supervision or boundaries, and being hurt in a way that makes you want to hurt back. I think the shooter, it came out that some of his high school friends said that he was bullied a lot in high school. And while this isn't justifying what he has done on Saturday, it gives us a piece of the puzzle for all of the things that could have led to Saturday. Humans gravitate towards the places they feel respected, appreciated, and heard. And as we've seen throughout history, humans are more than willing to join causes that make them feel this way, even if they know that those causes are evil. So you might have been pondering over the past 48 hours, how do I respond in the present moment to this? What does today look like? What does tomorrow or the next week look like? Well, the first thing that you can do is reflect. Reflect on what you saw or you heard or you felt during and after the moment. Think about whether those thoughts and feelings align with who you want to be and how you want to live. Historic moments like these not only shift the broader narrative, but they change individual lives. It's not only about what this means for our country, but it's about what this means for you. The second thing you can do is be proactive. Check in on those around you, have conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, and see how you can help. Preventative action is just as crucial and as important as reactionary action. The last thing that you can do is pray. Pray for those around you. Pray for the times that we find ourselves in. Pray for our country. And pray that souls around the country and around the world would be calmed and eased in times of what feels like uncertainty and anxious anticipation of what might unravel because of this. The last thing I will talk about is how we can actually move meaningfully in the world as Americans and as individuals. And the first piece of that is living meaningfully is having a purpose. America's purpose is wrapped into its Constitution and its founding documents, to be a nation of free people and free enterprise, not held down or enslaved by taxes or the rich, but giving the opportunity for other people, poor and rich, to create meaning and value into a country that admires that and rewards that. But at an individual level, it brings up the question, what is your purpose? What anchors you in hard times that keeps you going? What gives you the understanding of knowing what you need to do and how you need to do it? After your purpose, you need a mission to accomplish and fulfill that purpose in. And this is an area or a task or a calling by which you can live out your purpose. That can be anything from just being a father, a son, a mother, or daughter, to being someone like the President of the United States. The crux of this question is, where are you going to go to battle for your purpose every single day? And the third thing you need is a clear vision of what the future could look like should you live out your purpose through your mission. Think about it. If we all carry the vision of making the world a better place and actually live that out in our mission, boy, this world would change in drastic ways. The vision you create, however, must be held on to by radical hope and belief. If you don't have radical hope or radical belief that it's going to happen, then when hard times come, just like moments like these, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to continue on the path that you've laid out for yourself. You have to believe that it will happen. There are no maybes. There's no plan B. America is a beautiful country. I believe it still is. But in recent years, it has felt as though that beauty has been drowned out by sinful nature and lewd acts of violence attempted or completed. The same goes for us as individuals. We are beautiful creations meant to live meaningful lives. But sometimes that beauty gets shrouded by guilt and shame and the decisions that we or other people have made. This is a moment in time where there is no fence sitting. You either are growing or you're regressing. You're believing or not believing. You're taking control of your life and writing the narrative, or you're continuing and remaining a slave to your old habits. For you and for me and for everyone, it's time to choose to move back into a life where you choose to make an impact, where you live meaningfully and you leave a legacy for those to come after you. Because what is this life if we're not living so that those after us can be better? I'll see you guys next time.